Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Krishna Baba Rama, Krishna Baba Rama, Krishna Baba Rama, Jaya Krishna Baba Rama. Jaya Krishna Baba Rama, Krishna Baba Rama, Krishna Baba Rama, Jaya Krishna Baba Rama. Jaya Radhe Shyama, Radhe Shyama, Radhe Shyama, Jaya Radhe Shyama. Radhe Shyama, Radhe Shyama, Radhe Shyama, Radhe Shyama.
Nitai Go Premanande. Nitai Go Premanande. Good afternoon, everyone. Hare Krishna. Thank you for chanting and dancing.
Maharaj, may I just say that the translation is good.
Pardon?
The translation into Finnish. That it's
Oh, if,
okay.
okay, so Finnish people over here. If you don't understand.
Te, jotka tarvitte käännöstä suomeksi, tulkaa tänne, niin me käännämme täällä.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for chanting and dancing, but you should have danced more. Yesterday I was reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita about Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri in the last years of his life. And it's described that during the day, Lord Chaitanya would go to the temple and he would perform Nam Sankirtan and he would dance. And he would show in his person all of the symptoms of ecstatic love for Krishna. Now, those people who have read Srila Prabhupada's books, especially if you've read Nectar of Devotion, it explains different ecstatic symptoms of advanced bhakti, even at the position of coming to the platform of liberation. The living being will experience ecstatic symptoms, just like the flooding of tears from the eyes and standing of the hair on the body and bumps all over the body and becoming faint and falling down. That's even for us at the platform of liberation from the material conception of life. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he experienced the greatest manifestation of spiritual ecstasy, which is known as Mahabhav. It's stated that the type of ecstasy that Mahaprabhu experienced is only experienced by Mahaprabhu and Srimati Radharani and her love for Krishna. So during the day, he would chant and he would dance and he would become maddened in love for Krishna. And dear devotees, if we chant and dance, we will become maddened in love for Krishna. Srila Prabhupada has told us that our business in being members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is to become madmen and madwomen for Krishna. So I guess we can look at where we are now and see how mad we are to judge how far we have to go. And that naturally that process of increasing our attachment for Krishna and coming to the stage of perfect attachment to Krishna and then the awakening of pure Krishna Bhakti. That's the process of sadhana bhakti yoga, which is based on chanting Krishna's name and hearing about the form and the qualities and the pastimes of Krishna. But then it says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the evening, he would go home to his room and he would associate with his two dearmost devotees. Their names were Sarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Roy. And what they would do is all night long, they would talk about Krishna. They would simply talk and talk and talk. And when Lord Chaitanya would hear about Krishna, he would become more ecstatic and more ecstatic. And Chaitanya Charitamrita explains how they would have to lock Lord Chaitanya in his room because he would become so ecstatic. He would be running out from his room looking for Krishna, although he was Krishna. He was Krishna with the special mood of Sri Radha. It's described as sometimes Lord Chaitanya would run to the sea and he would see the sand dunes. And he would think, oh, now I've seen Govardhan Hill. Sometimes he would see the ocean in Puri. He would think, now I've seen the Jamuna. One time, Lord Chaitanya was running looking for Krishna in the madness of love. And he went to a Goshala. And he saw the cows. And the cows reminded him so much of Krishna and Vrindavan that he fell inside of the cow pen and he started manifesting ecstasy. Our Akinchan Mahaprabhu here, he's a real cow lover. When he's in Vrindavan, he goes to the Goshala every day just to love cows and to do seva for cows. One time Lord Chaitanya fell in the sea and they found him later and his body was showing symptoms of ecstasy. So during the day in the association of the Vaishnavas, chanting and dancing and experiencing love. And in the evening with his confidential devotees, hearing and chanting about Krishna, becoming more mad. And this was his life. And he was always surrounded by great Vaishnavas. He was surrounded by Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Roy, Haridas Thakur, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was like a dry, old university philosophy professor who didn't believe in the form of Krishna, and Lord Chaitanya changed him. Lord Chaitanya spoke to him, changed his heart. And then Lord Chaitanya, he revealed a very special form of Krishna to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He was surrounded by old sannyasis who were like godbrothers of his spiritual master, Brahmananda Bharati and Paramananda Puri. They all lived together And their whole business was just chanting, dancing, taking prasad, hearing about Krishna. Our Srila Prabhupada used to say, what is the difficulty with the process of Krishna consciousness? You dance in kirtan. And Shiv Charan told me that they say you hear Krishna Katha, you take prasadam, take a little rest, and repeat. One of the devotees that lived with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a great devotee named Jagadananda Pandit. And one of his stories immediately comes after the passing away of Haridas Thakur that we spoke about yesterday. Jagadananda Pandit, he was a great devotee. He was an associate of Lord Krishna and Lord Krishna's Lila. All of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, they're eternally liberated souls. And they were all participants in Krishna's Lila in the Loka Vrindavan. And Jagadananda, he's also an associate of Krishna in the rasa of love, conjugal love. And in the spiritual world, he's Satyabhama. He's one of the wives of Krishna who has sort of a hot nature and always, giving it to Krishna, putting a little chili masala in the relationship. Not to be mean, but she knew that Krishna liked that. If everybody's just always going like this to Krishna, that's one thing. But sometimes if people are contrary to Krishna, then he goes, oh, this is interesting. This is very interesting. And that sort of like increases his feelings of love. And these devotees, like, what is the nature of a pure devotee of Krishna? Rupa Goswami tells us, Anyabhilasita sunyam jnana karma vyanavritam anukulyena Krishna anushilnam bhakti uttama. The nature of a devotee is that a devotee gives up all hope for pleasure from material sense gratification. And a devotee gives up all hope for liberation. Just like Mahaprabhu, he has taught us, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam bhajagirish kamai, mama janmani janmanishwari bhavatat bhakti rahai kavitvai. He says, I don't desire wealth. Dhanam, janam, I don't need followers. I don't need a beautiful wife. I don't need kavitam sundarim. I don't need to hear the beautiful poetry of this world that tries to convince us that, living in a place of fire is nice. Like this world is called bhava. Bhava means fire. Bhava rog. That's the disease that we have. We think that we're happy. We think that we're happy living in such an organized and beautiful place as Finland. We're very happy having our nice salary. We're happy having our nice apartment. But ultimately, it all ends up in fire, meaning we're burnt by the fire of death. Krishna says, time I am, destroyer of the worlds. No one can escape time. Time is taking away our lives every single day. But because we're not thinking about it, we don't realize it. It's called being an illusion. Like the other night I was joking, at the program, once I was young like these boys. Look at me now, an old mess. Time is taking away everybody's life. So Mahaprabhu says, I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, I don't want all of the good things of this world. He says, Mama Janmani Janmani Shwari. He says, birth after birth. Birth after birth means I don't even want liberation. I don't even desire to be freed from this world, but what do I want? Bhavatad Bhakti Rahai Tukitwai. All I want is your pure devotional service. When devotees pray, this is what devotees ask for. It's not that devotees pray and they say, please give me a good salary. Please let me pass my degree. Please give me a good wife. Please give me a good husband. The devotee is just saying, Krishna, give me your bhakti, your pure bhakti. Krishna, I know I'm not even qualified to ask for your bhakti because bhakti is such a high thing and I'm such a low person. I really, really have no qualification. But still, from my spiritual master, from the Shastra, I've heard that bhakti is the highest thing we can aspire for. Please give me the chance to engage in your pure devotional service. Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavanyas-chasmi tattvatah. To mam tattato gyatta vishite tadanantaram. It's only by pure devotional service that the heart will become purified. Karma won't purify the heart. Jnana won't purify the heart. Yoga won't purify the heart. But bhakti washes the heart. And when the heart finally becomes washed, then we develop competency to enter into the association of the Lord. So Jagadananda, he was this type of a devotee. No desire other than to please the Lord. But his particular mood is he was a little hot. Sometimes he would get spicy in his relationship with the Lord. And our time is limited, so I will just tell one story about Jagadananda. There are many stories in Chaitanya Charitamrita about Jagadananda, where he would sometimes let his temper flare up with the Lord. Actually, Kaviraj Goswami says that Lord Chaitanya was scared of Jagadananda Pandit. I guess it's like you men out there. Sometimes when your wives get angry, you get a little scared too. Mataji knows it's a fact.
No.
One time Jagadananda went to Bengal. He was living in Jagannath Puri. He was actually, the history, it can't really say where Jagadananda was born. And from the perspective of Vaishnavas, we don't look at pure devotees wondering about, was he born in Bengal or was he born in Russia or was he born in America or was he born in Ukraine? And we see devotees as devotees. We don't see them according to nationalities. And they're not even sure what year he was born, but he was in Navadvip. And when Lord Chaitanya, after he took sannyas and he went to Shantipur, Jagadananda was there. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas when he was a young man, only 24 years old. And then he went to see his colleagues, his family, his friends in Shantipur. And then from there, he left for Jagannath Puri. And Jagadananda was among the group of devotees who traveled with him to Jagannath Puri. There was Nityananda went, Jagadananda went, Mukunda went, a few others I can't recall. They traveled together. There's that incident when they were approaching Jagannath Puri. Lord Chaitanya, he told the devotees, he said, you please wait here. Now I am sannyasi. I'm going to go to a village and I'm going to collect some alms, collect some vegetables and collect some rice, then bring it back for Jagadananda to cook. And he told Jagadananda, here you hold my sannyas danda while I go beg. So he gave a sannyas danda to Jagadananda. And then while Lord Chaitanya was away, Nityananda said, may I see the danda? Jagadananda said, oh yes, Lord Nityananda. He gave the danda to Nityananda, and Nityananda broke the danda and threw it in the river. He said, what is this business? Him playing like a sannyasi, like he's something from Varnashram Dharma. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He doesn't need this thing. Lord Chaitanya came back. He was really upset. He said, why did you break my danda? It's the only thing I own. Why did you break the darn thing? And then he became upset. He said, look, I'm a little agitated now. I'm a little tired. And Nityananda is always playing around and doing these things. I want to finish this walk to Jagannath Puri on my own. He said, look, either you walk in front of me or you walk behind me, but we're not going to walk together. They didn't want to walk in front of the Lord, so they said, Lord, you go first. And then he went first, and he went to the Jagannath temple, and he saw Jagannath, and he went into ecstasy, and he fell down, and he started showing Mahabhav on the floor of the Jagannath temple. Then they called Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya because he was such a learned scholar, and Sarvabhauma said, he's not an ordinary person. And then they took him to Sarvabhauma's house so he could recover. So Jagadananda was one of the people that lived with Lord Chaitanya the full time in Jagannath Puri. And one year, Lord Chaitanya, he sent Jagadananda back to Bengal. And he said, please, you go home to Navadvip. You go home to Navadvip and you please give my respects to my mother. Lord Chaitanya, Kaviraj Goswami says, Lord Chaitanya was the foremost of devotees of their mothers. He loved his mother so much. And Lord Chaitanya, one time he met his mother and he said, Mother, he said, when I took sannyas, I must have been mad. He said, I ruined all my religious principles when I took sannyas because I could no longer stay with you. He would visit sometimes. Actually, Lord Chaitanya, he would always visit Sachi. But he would visit his mother and she would cook. And he told her, he said, Mother, never fear. He said, every time you cook and you offer, I will come and eat it. And Sachi, she used to cook for her deity. And she would sit down and she would make the offering. Lord Chaitanya would just become manifest. Even though he was living in Puri, he had become manifest in Navadvip. And he would take the meal. And then, Sachi, she would finish making the offering and she would think, oh, I'm getting old. Maybe I didn't put the bhoga inside the plates. Lord Chaitanya said, when you go there, you tell my mother that it was actually me, that I came. So one year when Jagadananda was in Bengal, he and another great devotee named Shivananda Sain, they got this wonderful idea. And this idea they got was that they were going to make some sandalwood oil. and they were going to send that sandalwood oil to Lord Chaitanya. And Shivananda Sain and Jagadananda, they decided Lord Chaitanya could massage his head with this sandalwood oil, because sandalwood oil has a very cooling effect. And we know that sometimes when we become a little crazy and our vata is high and our head gets hot, you have to cool it down somehow. Like I was telling one devotee yesterday how once Srila Prabhupada, he walked into he was making an inspection tour of the Los Angeles temple. And Srila Prabhupada was such a person that when he walked in the temple, he'd begin inspecting to see if it was clean. And Prabhupada could do things like this. He'd go, no dust, good. He would have the tall devotees run their fingers on top of the doors to see if there was any dust up there. If there's any dust, you're in Tamagun. You're not keeping Krishna's temple clean. Prabhupada was so clean, and he was teaching us to be clean. And where was I? Yeah, and Prabhupada used to rub some sandalwood on his head also. Oh no, what happened? You walked into the kitchen of the Los Angeles temple, and there was a block of butter sitting on the kitchen table, and it had a wrapper on it. And printed on the wrapper, it said, "Keep in a cool place." Prabhupada looked and he said, "Have one stamp made with this and put it on every devotee's head. Keep your head in a cool place. If you want to advance to Krishna, your brain has got to be cool so you can think nicely." So Shivananda and Jagadananda, they made this nice pot of sandalwood oil. And then Jagadananda, he carried it so nicely all the way back to Orissa. And when he arrived in Jagannath Puri, he went to the residence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he gave this pot of sandalwood oil to Govinda, Lord Chaitanya's servant. And he said, myself and Shivananda Sain, we have made this oil for Lord Chaitanya. You can rub it on his head sometimes and give him some relaxation. So Govinda took the oil. And then he went into Lord Chaitanya and he said, Mahaprabhu, Jagadananda has brought a pot of sandalwood oil for you to like rub on your head and rub on your body to cool down. And Lord Chaitanya said, what are you speaking about? He said, I can't rub sandalwood oil on my head. He said, if I like rub this oil on my head, when I walk on the road, people will smell the sandalwood oil and they'll think that I'm one of those sannyasis that keeps women. He said, I don't do that. And so the sandalwood oil just sat. And some days later, Jagadananda came. He said, how did Mahaprabhu like that sandalwood oil? And Govinda said, Mahaprabhu didn't use it. Mahaprabhu, he told me, he said, he can't rub that on his head. And so he told that to Jagadananda, and Jagadananda, he got angry. He said, you tell him to use this sandalwood oil that I made. He went and he said, Jagadananda is angry. He wants you to use the sandalwood oil. And Lord Chaitanya said, well, maybe I should just, hire a permanent, masseur to travel with me. I should have a masseur, I should have sandalwood oil, I should have the whole deal with me all the time. He said, no, tell Jagadananda to take this oil to the temple and then they can burn it in the lamps for Jagannath, and then he will achieve the fruits of his, labor in making this nice oil. It will be used for the Lord. So then, a few days later, Jagadananda came back, and this time he met Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya was speaking to him, and he said, Jagadananda, I've been informed by Govinda that you made this nice pot of sandalwood oil. I think that you should take this oil to the temple and you should offer it to Jagannath and they can burn in his lamps. And Jagadananda looked up and said, who has told you such a lie that I made sandalwood oil? Who told you this? And he took the pot of sandalwood oil and he smashed it in front of Lord Chaitanya. He became angry. And then Jagadananda went to his room. He locked himself inside, started fasting, didn't come out for 3 days. And Lord Chaitanya was saying, oh, my beloved devotee, now he's angry. What am I going to do? I don't want my devotee to be like this. I love my devotees too much. I'm too grateful for everything that they do for him to become like this. So Lord Chaitanya devised a plan. Lord Chaitanya, in the morning when he was going to the Jagannath temple for darshan, he stopped by Jagadananda's room and he started beating on the door. No answer. He started beating on the door and he was going, Jagadananda, Jagadananda, beating on the door, no answer. Finally, after beating for some time, Jagadananda came to the door. And Lord Chaitanya said, Jagadananda, I've decided I'm coming to your house today and I'm going to take prasad in your home because you are such a fantastic cook. So you should get up now and you should have your bath and start cooking. And then Jagadananda became very happy. Lord Chaitanya started breaking his angry mood. And so he cooked and cooked and cooked, and then Lord Chaitanya, after, he performed his noon duties, he went to Jagadananda's house for having lunch, and Jagadananda sat him down, and he put banana leaves in front of Mahaprabhu. And the first thing he did is he put this huge mound of rice, and rice that had ghee in it. And then he started putting little cups, little leaf cups of so many delicious vegetables all around, like shukta and sag and baki chachari and so many kofta and some nice things. And he said, Mahaprabhu, eat. Eat. But Mahaprabhu knew that his devotee had been fasting for 3 days. And Mahaprabhu just sat there and he had his hands folded and he said, Jagadananda, on this day, I want you to put leaf plates down and you join me as well while I take prasad. Because Lord Chaitanya wanted his devotee to eat, he wanted to break his angry mood. And what happened is Jagadananda, he put leaf plates down, put all the prasadam, and then he said, but Lord, I cannot eat till you eat, so you start eating. And after you eat, I promise you, I will take prasad. So you know what Jagadananda did? Lord Chaitanya was very austere. Although he was showing the role of a sannyasi, he was very austere. But because he was Krishna, he could eat the whole universe. And he wanted to he wanted to show love to his devotee. So on that day, Jagadananda kept feeding and feeding and feeding and feeding and feeding. And Chaitanya Charitamrita says that on that day, Lord Chaitanya ate 10 times as much as he would generally eat. And you can imagine eating 10 times more than what you can generally eat. Like a man sits down, a man can eat 4 chapatis. You know, can you imagine eating 40 chapatis? That would really be like chapatis coming out your ears. One time, Srila Prabhupada was in Los Angeles, and he went for a preaching program in the evening. He was preaching and preaching and preaching, and he was so enthusiastic and he was so fired up. And then he went back to the temple and he told Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he said, I'm starving. I need something to eat. I've been preaching. I need something to eat. It's like these boys, after kirtan, they've got to eat. You know, going back to where we were staying last night, they kept saying, Maharaj, let's stop at the store and buy a lot of snacks. You know? We got to eat. And so Prabhupada was like so enthusiastic. I've been preaching. I got to eat. I got to eat. So they said, what do you want? He said, go to the kitchen, make me some chapatis. So the devotees went to the kitchen. They started cooking chapatis for Prabhupada. It must have been 11 o'clock at night. And they were like, poof, the chapati would puff up. They'd put ghee on it, take it to Prabhupada. Prabhupada was sitting there preaching and eating chapatis. Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, Prabhupada ate 15 chapatis. And then the next morning in class, Prabhupada was saying, you know, every man has their quota of what they can take, and they shouldn't take more than what they can take. For example, a man can take 4 chapatis, but if he takes more than 4 chapatis, you know, he will have, you know, bad digestion. And then he finished his class, and then Tamal Krishna Maharaj put his hand up. Prabhupada said, yes. He said, Prabhupada, you said a man can eat 4 chapatis, but I saw you eat 15 chapatis last night. And Prabhupada looked at him and said, you're a liar. I never ate 15 chapatis in my life. So Jagannatha was making Lord Chaitanya eat and eat and eat and eat. And then finally Lord Chaitanya said, boss, I can't take it anymore. He said, I'm so full, it's like up to neck level. And then Jagannatha put a nice garland on Lord Chaitanya, put sandalwood pulp. Actually, he put sandalwood pulp all over the body of Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya said, now sit down and eat. And Jagannatha said, Lord, he said, Raghunath Bhatta helped me cook today. And one other devotee, I forget, he said, they helped me cook today. I have to feed them first. But I promise that after I feed them, I will sit down and I will make them eat. So then he fed them, and then he took prasadam, and Lord Chaitanya broke that angry mood. So many loving, pure devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in different moods of relationships. And we all have a different mood of relationship with Krishna. Chaitanya Charitamrita tells us, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sati Kabunoi, Shravanadi Shudachitta Kurure Udoi. That we all have an eternal relationship with Krishna. But we will understand that eternal relationship with Krishna if we engage in Shravanam and Kirtan. And it says, Shravanadi Shudachitta. By Shravana, our consciousness will become purified, and then the knowledge of that relationship will arise. So, for all of us, we are sadhaka Vaishnavas, we are practitioners, and we should all very, very carefully chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We should carefully. Sounds like Jagannatha's in the kitchen. We should carefully study the words of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Let these simple and wonderful things purify our hearts and then come to the level of love of God. Okay, thank you very much. Gopal Krishna was telling me I had to stop at 2 o'clock, and now it's 2:02. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Everybody read Chaitanya Charitamrita. They have Chaitanya Charitamrita here. Who has read Chaitanya Charitamrita? Oh, that's not so good. Everybody should read Chaitanya Charitamrita. If you want to taste real nectar of life, read the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you want to understand what pure service and love is, read Chaitanya Charitamrita. So you should go down in this temple and buy a set after class. Okay. Huh? It's very cheap here, so everybody should buy a set, take them home, start reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. And this is our last program here in Finland, and I just want to say thank you very much. I'd like to say thank you to Divyam Prabhu for being such a gracious host and bringing us here and taking care of us like he's our Finnish mother and father. And for Gopal Krishna for taking care of us. And and for all the devotees here who have shown us so much love and so much care. It's been a real pleasure for us being here, and we hope that we can come back in the coming year. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Govinda, Swami Maharaj.